Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be reviewing the Sohamo S3 folding e-bike from Sohamo. In terms of specs here, it uses a 750 watt rear hub motor, advertises a max speed of 28 miles per hour, and has an advertised range of up to 60 miles. So let's go through each of the parts in turn and take a closer look at everything. Starting off with the front wheel, it uses a 20x3 sort of semi-fat tire, not exactly a fat tire, but a thick tire, which gives you plenty of traction stability. In terms of brakes, it uses a mechanical disc brake, which is to be expected for an e-bike at this price point. On the rear tire, it's got the rear hub motor, which can get you an advertised speed of 28 miles per hour. I was not able to get myself to 28 miles per hour when I was riding it. I'm not sure if I need to unlock something, but it was able to easily get to 22 miles per hour, no problem. Turning to the front of the bike, has a integrated headlight, which you can turn on from the control pad on the handlebars. It has room for a front cargo rack. If you want to add it, you just have to find one that's this size. I think Sohamo might sell one, but I'm not sure. Looking over at the frame here, you can see it's a step-through frame. I'll go over the folding mechanism a little more when we get to the other side of the bike. It includes this rear rack. It's a nice beefy rear rack attached to the frame itself, so it gives it a lot of stability. You could hold plenty of cargo on this rear rack. Comes with integrated rear taillight. Forgot to mention it also has fenders, both front and rear fenders. You know, plastic, but they'll do the job. Looking at the battery, this is kind of the more interesting part of it. First off, this battery is giant. It's a 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery, and it's the biggest battery I've ever seen. It slides into the frame of the bike, or into the kind of back post of the bike, and to plug it in, you actually have to take the motor plug itself and actually physically plug it into the battery, which is kind of funny, but it also works totally fine doing this. It's just kind of funny that basically when you're sliding in here, it's really just a holder for it, and then you're just plugging it in, so it's not really plugging into anything when you're sliding into the frame here. The stock seat is good. It's a nice squishy seat. I'm not sure, probably unbranded, but to get the battery out, the seat itself has a button on the back that you press it, which lifts the seat forward, giving you access to the battery, which then you can unlock it and take it out like that. And you can see to put it back in, it's just the same thing. You just slide it in there. Slide it in through this little pole here. And then you lock it. And then close it up. So, kind of an interesting battery. But it does keep it out of the way. And then you just would plug in this part here. Next, looking at the handlebars, it has two kind of rubbery grips. These are very good job. Thumb throttle on the left side, Shimano 7-speed shifters, mechanical disc brake left and right. This quad lock here is my own that I added. Highly recommend getting something like this to hold your phone. And then the display might be a little hard to see. You might not be able to see it, but it shows you the speed, your total miles, and the battery power. And then there's only 2 buttons on this display, so it's very simple. Hitting the mode button, the M button, changes the pedal assist level. It has 5 levels of pedal assist. And then it shows you your speed here. And then to turn on the front light, you would just, or to turn on the lights, you would just hit the power button. It would turn on the front and rear lights. And then you would just do that to turn it off. And then the handlebar folds up So it's got the handlebar has a clip right here that folds up. So you can fold that, fold the mechanism here, and they would fold together. And then to put it back, you just fold it. So very convenient. You could fold it, stick it into the back of your car, stick it into, you know, back seat, trunk, whatever, or bring it into the office or some building if you need to. So very convenient. So overall, that's the overall look of the bike. Let's take it out for a ride and see what it's like. We're taking this out, running a few errands on it. I'm gonna make a little trip to get a secret shop and get myself some lunch. And then maybe a little quick trip to Home Depot to grab something that I need from there. So as I mentioned in the beginning, this is a folding e-bike from Sohamo. It's pretty good, actually. This is I haven't ridden this bike a lot, so my first impressions of it are that it's actually a really surprisingly powerful bike for how tiny it is. You know, it's this little tiny full step-through folding bike, but it's got some speed to it. The current speeds are in kilometers per hour, so I don't know what that is. Right now, here it is. I can go 40 kilometers an hour with this thumb throttle here. So it seems pretty fast. I don't know how fast 40 kilometers is. I'm guessing that's probably about 25 miles per hour. Let's take a look at the handlebars here so you can see what we've got. It's a small straight handlebar. On the left, you've got your grips. You got your grips in left and right. They're both pretty cheap grips, you know, nothing special here. You could replace them if you want. They're just kind of rubber grips. You got two brakes, two disc brakes. The braking power is solid. They get the job done, you know, nothing special there. Thumb throttle here on the left, which I like this style of thumb throttle. This is pretty good. Well, let's look on the right side here. You've got the 7 gears, easy to switch between them. And then you've got the display here. Very simple display. There's only 2 buttons on the display. The power button, which if you hit it again, puts the lights on. And then the mode button, which just changes the level of pedal assist you're at. So between 1 and 5, or between 0 and 5, I guess, so no pedal assist. It's got your battery power on it, your speed, which is currently in kilometers an hour, and I haven't figured out how to change that to miles. I put the handlebar, this is the handle stash. This doesn't come included, this is my own addition, just so I can hold a drink. It's easy to remove, so I really enjoy this handle stash. Highly recommend if you're looking for a cup holder. But yeah, it's got front suspension, so pretty smooth ride. 20 by 3 tires, so the tires are fairly thick, so they give you some good cushion here. This bike was definitely one of the harder bikes to assemble because it was the least assembled bike of any bike I've ever gotten. So it required a lot of, you had to assemble basically the entire bike, which was fine. It wasn't that hard to do, but if you're not handy, yeah, you'll have to figure it out. There is a YouTube video, but you know, there are some harder parts to do. Most of it was pretty straightforward, but getting the seat on was what I had the most trouble with. So yeah, 20 by 3 tires are good. I like it because it's kind of like a quasi-fat tire bike. I think I'd still call this, it's like, I don't know if I'd call this a fat tire bike, but it's definitely a beefy tire. So good for city riding, good for, I don't know if I'd go off-road on it necessarily, but it is good for absorbing bumps if you're in kind of uneven terrain. Yeah, definitely a small bike, but you can, because of how small it is, it's probably good for people with small spaces. because you can fold it up and, you know, set it in a corner somewhere. So I do like that. So it definitely doesn't feel, I mean, this bike is not an expensive bike, and it definitely doesn't feel like an expensive bike, so be aware of that. This is not an expensive bike. I believe it comes in at 800 bucks maybe, which is actually, now that I'm riding it a lot, riding it a bit and kind of feeling it out, that's actually a pretty good deal actually, you know, because for a bike that can do a lot of things, you know, comes with a rear rack, so you can hold things. This would be pretty good for grocery shopping, if you know, you can put stuff in a basket on the back or some panniers. You would definitely need to get some smaller panniers though, because it's low to the ground. But, you know, commuting, totally fine. You can do it with this. And because it's 20x3 tires, you can probably do it all year round with these tires. And it feels fast. Like, I feel like I'm going quick. So the form factor of this bike, it's a step-through folding bike, so you're kind of low, but surprisingly easy to pedal. Like, I'm pedaling right now, I'm not even using the pedal assist, or I'm not using the thumb throttle, and I'm having no problem pedaling. You know, I'm 5'9", so I'm not that tall, but you know, it's a comfortable bike. The seat is actually surprisingly squishy too. It's like it's a lot squishier than some of the other seats some of the other stock seats I've gotten for other bikes. Yeah, in terms of looks, I do like the look of this bike too. It's I mean, I like these kind of low folding bikes because they're really moped-like, which I kind of like that on a bike, on an e-bike. Yeah, so the sitting position on this really puts you upright, which, you know, is fine because with an e-bike you don't really need you don't need the same efficiency as with a regular analog bike. And this upright position is actually good if you're commuting, you know, so you're trying to, you know, you need to wear nicer clothes or something. It's actually very comfortable. Yeah, so who would this bike be good for? Well, I mean, I think it'd be good for commuters because of its portable size, you know, and low price points. So, so it's much more accessible for most people. But yeah, it'd be good for a commuter, someone looking for their first bike. Obviously, someone with a limited space, having a folding e-bike makes a lot of sense. And because Step-Thru, I could see it being good for someone who isn't as flexible, needs a little bit easier bike to get on and off of. And for food delivery, this is great too, because again, easy to get on and off. So I do like that. We are pulling up to the restaurant. Gonna get myself a little food.
Full stack is getting a big help. So I was thinking about
So we got our food, and now we're gonna run over to, I'm actually gonna run over to Home Depot to grab a little thing I need. I'm trying to get a lawnmower sharpening blade, sharpen up the blade on my lawnmower. So we're gonna make a quick commute over that way, and then we'll head home. Overall, it's an excellent bike. Very surprised actually. I didn't have high expectations for this bike, but just based on this initial ride, it's definitely better than I expected it to be. That's for sure. Especially considering that it was kind of funny how much work you had to put in. Like, you had to put in all the work to assemble it all together yourself, and it's kind of, you know, it's from like this random company, so, you know, I didn't have a lot of expectations, but I think this is a pretty good bike. So, you know, things to be aware of if you are going to get a bike like this. Obviously, this is not coming from a big company, you know, Sohamo, I've never heard of it. It's a random company, so you always got to be aware of, you know, what kind of support are you going to get afterwards. Always a potential for that, but at the price point it's offered at, you know, it's good. I mean, there's not a lot of folding bikes that are selling for, you know, 800 bucks that are, you know, that feel this good. But if you're comfortable with it
and you know, you're looking for like a affordable entry-level folding bike that definitely will get the job done. I mean, there's no doubt this bike is it's a good bike for the price point. You know, for under $1,000 for a bike that can really do a lot and really be replace, you know, most of what you need to do on a car. I think this is an excellent bike. I think this is it's a fun bike. I think it's good, and I think it could work for a lot of people. I think just because of the form factor of it, it's very accessible. All right, so we are here at the Home Depot. So I'm just gonna go grab this. Okay, we're grabbing this blade sharpening and balancing kit. All right, we just picked up the thing that we needed from the Home Depot. The employee was asking me about the bike too, and I was telling him how much I liked it. All right, now see, I've got myself a Panera Bread Sip Club membership, so I'm gonna snag myself a free drink while I'm here. Here's an example of the handle stash in action here. I really like it because you can see I can move it a lot around. Fits perfectly on my Sohamo here. So yeah, got all my errands done that I needed to do. And I did it all on the Sohamo Step-Thru. It's a really very excellent bike. Really like it. I got no complaints about it. I think it's a good bike. You know, for the price point, I think it's well worth it. I think it's actually a pretty good deal. You know, for $800 or however much this bike goes for. I think that's well worth the price if you're looking for this style of bike. I think it's a very versatile bike that could fit for a lot of people, and you could really do quite a bit. You can really get most of the things you need to get done with it, no problem. The Sohamo Step-Thru e-bike, excellent bike, very easy to ride, and I think it's a good bike for a lot of people. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave any questions or comments in the video, or shoot me an email, get in touch with me if you have any questions. Until then, I will see you all in the next one.